Welcome back from me, Tim Caple, to the Rock and Blues Experience. And coming up today, a man who's lent his vocal prowess to rock legends, including Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, Michael Schenker, Adrian Vandenberg, and Ritchie Faulkner's Elegant Weapons. He is, of course, Ronnie Romero, who is about to release the follow-up to his debut album. It is called Backbone. It's out this week. Before we get to Ronnie, just a reminder, you can catch up with all of the latest content on the website, www.therockandbluesexperience.com, and on YouTube and Facebook. And you can also find a new audio show called From the Vault, which is also available on the website and across all of the streaming providers. Barclay James Harvest are back with a new album. It's called Relativity. It is out this week. And this is a band, remember, that has got a huge following around Europe, despite being somewhat overlooked in the UK. In fact, they created, remember, music history when they became the first ever Western band to play live in the former GDR. But before that, they also created waves when they took the stage in front of 250,000 people with the Reichstag as a backdrop in Berlin in 1980. Now, I found a member of the band, John Lees, was on the recent show, and he looked back on that day and how it literally terrified him when he saw the size of the crowd the band were going to be playing in front of. Germany, the scene of two of those incredible live events, first up in Berlin in front of the Reichstag, in front of 250,000 people. What did you feel the moment you turned a corner, walked into the sunlight, or the rain if it was raining, and you see this mass of people that literally is as far as the eye can see? I mean, yeah, going from playing to, 2,000 and 3,000 in the UK, or maybe 10,000 at a festival, 250,000 people.
I was terrified, absolutely terrified. I thought somebody was going to assassinate one of us because of making a statement in, where it was in front of the Reichstag. It's like a horseshoe of the wall round. There were people on the other side getting arrested for trying to listen to the music. Just terrified. And then it's such a large amount of people in front of you. You can't possibly react. You just get on and play the music. It's a very funny story. When we were about to go on stage, I kind of jumped the gun. There was a ramp to the back of the stage, and that went up to the stage where you went and played. And I jumped the gun. I didn't realise that the rest of the band weren't behind me. So I went up the ramp, and I'm halfway up the ramp, and the guy who was a stage manager at the time, a guy called Simon Renshaw, who went on famously to manage ZZ Top and the Dixie Chicks. He was at the top of the ramp, and he was trying to clear everybody off the ramp for the band to come up. So he's shouting down the microphone, "Everybody, the band are coming on stage. Get off the ramp, clear the ramp for the band." So I heard this, and I turned round and started walking back down the ramp, and he shouted after me, "Not you, you're in the band." It was expletive. He did a few expletives silly. So that shows you what kind of state I was in going onto stage. It was terrifying.
You can watch that feature in full on the website, YouTube, or Facebook now. And talking of great and 70s legends, Atomic Rooster are back with a first album in over 4 decades. Drummer Paul Everett and Steve Bolton join me on the show. There were so many great stories and tales to look back on. Here's a clip with Steve Bolton alongside Paul Everett, going back to the late 60s when he was in Manchester, and he came across this man called Vincent Crane and the crazy world of Arthur Brown. Were you aware at this time, when you were back into the 60s with these bands, were you aware of Rodney Cheeseman, of course, who became Vincent Crane?
Yeah. I mean, Devil's Answer was in the charts. I think it got to number 2. But in the late 60s, I'm in Manchester. As a music fan, I used to go to Manchester University, not in there, but I went to the main hall there, the proper stage, and we saw all the visiting bands there. I saw lots of great bands appear. One of the bands I saw was The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, and it was fantastic. It was unbelievable. It must have been, it was Carl Palmer on drums and Nick Graham on bass and Vincent Crane on Hammond organ. And he'd melted all the keys with a blow lamp or something to melt them so they would look really, truly gothic. And he had a monk's habit on, and I'm stood there going, man, this is just unbelievable. I remember it. Never for 1 minute did I think in my tiny mind that I would be playing with him in like 3 years hence, you know what I mean? But so yeah, that was.
Do you know the other thing that looks even quaint today, right, Paul, is where Rodney Cheeseman obviously is not going to be a name of a rock star, is it? So he decides it's got to be Vincent Crane. So he takes Vincent from Vincent Price and Crane because it was how Arthur Brown used to arrive on stage.
Yeah.
Was it really? Not because Vincent Crane, which he did.
I mean,
Tommy Crane, couldn't it?
I don't know. I think today Rodney Cheeseman would be more of a stage name than Vincent Crane.
Fantastic, wouldn't it? Yeah. So he leaves Arthur Brown along with Carl Palmer, and they set up Atomic Rooster, which is one of the all-time great band names. I mean, it is just incredible. And again, that simply came from a roadie who was nicknamed Atomic Rooster. Yeah. I mean, you can spend hours looking through books thinking there must be a story behind this. It's got to have something to do with some substance abuse.
I don't know that story, but yeah.
That's the story. It was one of Arthur Brown's roadies that was called Atomic Rooster.
It's incredible. And so you answer the ad in Melody Maker looking for a lead player. You spent 2 days listening to Joe Walsh and the James Gang learning lead licks to get the gig.
To get the gig, yeah. And I always remember the first gig. So I got the gig, and then we had a tour. We're going to America straight away. And I always remember the manager, Robert Masters, who worked for. They were above the Marquee Club in Denmark Street, as it was then. And they were shysters. I'm under no illusion. I remember it rehearsal. And Robert came round with a visa application form, and I had to fill it in. And it came to the question, have you or have you not got a criminal record? Well, I had a criminal record, but it was only a misdemeanor. I got a lift in a stolen car with some friends of mine. And then we transferred to another car, and we got caught by the old bill. I was the only one over the age of 17, so I got my head shoved down the toilet at Bootle Street Police Station. And yeah, I got my dabs taken. I got a £5 fine, so I've got a criminal record. So when it came to that, I said to Robert, I said, this, he said, just give it to me, dear boy. I know he went, no. Yeah, I knew that he would put no. So the first gig we did, we had the American tour coming up, but we did a UK gig in Plymouth.
The Van Dyke Club.
Yes, a huge club with a massive stage, and I got picked up in a Rolls Royce. We got taken to the station, and we went down first class on this train with members of the press, like Record Mirror and various people down to. And I had a small Fender amp, like a piggyback bassman, because I thought that's what you had to have. I didn't realize this was actually a bass amp, and it was crap, But for the rehearsals, I used an AC30 I borrowed, but I had my Fender amp. So I get in the club, we go in the club, and it's packed, because Rooster are number 2 in the charts, absolutely packed. And I look at the stage, and I think, shit. And in the middle is the biggest drum kit I've ever seen in my life, like a double Heyman kit. With 26-inch bass drums, the whole deal. And then the Hammond organ side, 3 high-watt stacks like this, and then 2 acoustic bass cabinets. And at my side of the stage, my little amp on a chair. My little amp's on a chair, Thank God it wasn't on beer crates, but, it was on a chair. So we did the gig, and I did not hear a note I played the whole night. I couldn't hear it above the rack.
Steve Bolton, who was with the Rooster back at the time when the legendary Chris Farlow was fronting the band for Made in England. And again, you can watch the full feature with Steve and Paul on the website, YouTube or Facebook. And so to Ronnie Romero. It's fair to say that 10 years ago, you would probably not have heard of Ronnie. Then one momentous day in his life, Ritchie Blackmore got in touch, and he was then off to front Rainbow, where he took centre stage and delivered powerhouse performances and live shows around the globe. And suddenly he became one of the most in-demand rock vocalists out there, going on to work with Michael Schenker, Adrian Vandenberg, Sunstorm, and Richie Faulkner's Elegant Weapons. But a couple of years back, he realized the time was right for him to make his mark as a solo artist with his own band, performing his own material. First came Too Many Lies, Too Many Masters, and that is followed up this week with Backbone, which amounts to a significant step up from anything that he has previously done. I met up with Ronnie, who was in Barcelona earlier on this week, to talk about the new album and his career to date. Fabulous album, this. But the last few years, perhaps the most important of your career, because we're seeing more of you on what you're capable of, as opposed to you being part of somebody else's band. So are you happier in charge of your own destiny?
Absolutely. And also I think this second solo album is a big step forward compared with the first one. Because on the first album, I was just trying to figure it out, where my music and my songwriting skills could fit with some fans, and I was trying to make happy as much people as possible listening to my music. But on the second album, I think and I feel like I just really found my space and my way to do music. It's a totally different album. I don't want to say that it's a better album than the first one, because I really love the first one, but I really feel that with the second album, I really achieved what I wanted to show to the people.
It's true, because I was going to say we're celebrating the release of this new album, Backbone, in a couple of weeks' time. Now, this is the culmination, isn't it, of 13 years of recording work. It's all that you've learned working alongside of legendary musicians, from Ritchie Blackmore to Michael Schenker, blended with the natural talents that you've got. And the result is this outstanding hard rock album that is a massive step up from anything else that you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, obviously, it's a little bit complicated when you pass the last 10 years working with so many great musicians and great songwriters, and then you are just there singing somebody else's songs, and then suddenly you need to do your own stuff, and it's hard to get out of that somehow. It's not easy to show this Ronnie Romero way of making music compared with the work you did with Ritchie Blackmore, because also it's somehow it's great that I had the chance to work with Ritchie Blackmore and Michael Schenker and Vandenberg and all those great musicians, but then it's also a little bit of extra pressure of I need to get out of that and show my own skills. So that's what I meant when I say I think it's a better album than the first one, in terms of with this album I'm really showing 100% who I am.
And so how much less stressful was doing the second album, because you now know the process, you know the business side, you know what is expected to put the project together. So knowing all of this now, did it leave you freer to concentrate on the creative side?
It was way easier actually than the first one. I would say, yeah, because as I said before, on the first album, it's like you wanna please as much people possible, and you're not really what you need to do, and that's why the first album, it has so many different music styles on the same track list. You have a very heavy song, and then something more soft, and then something is more hard rock, and then you have a bluesy song. And because I didn't really know what the people what they were expecting from me. So in the second album, and also after 2 years of touring and making a lot of shows, I know what it works, and we were straightforward. And with Jose, my guitar player, I told him, we need to do this kind of stuff. I feel like this is going to be the right thing, and also having the help of a couple of good friends as Roy Z and Russ Ballard writing songs. It's also,
I was going to say, putting the team together again, all of the best and the most successful have consistency as opposed to a revolving door. So you have Jose Rubio, you got Chris Allen, you got Alex Bertoni, you got Francesco Gil Torres on board. Jose Rubio's input, you say nothing would be possible without him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my guitar player, is my mate doing music, and it's a really easy guy when I say, all right, I need this kind of songs, and he get it from the beginning. It's like, okay, he sent me some riffs and some songs, and say, okay, that's exactly what I need. And it's really easy for me to work in that way and say, okay, I can put my vocals and vocal lines and lyrics on this kind of music, because I thought that exactly what the people want to hear at this point of my career. So
sure,
it's really cool to work with them.
So on the first album, you had Gus G was in Ozzy's band, because Capri came in as a guest. This time around, you have Roy Z. Now, he has got some career behind him. I mean, he's worked extensively over the last, 30 years with Bruce Dickinson, including on the Mandrake project, and indeed Rob Halford. So how did you two get to know each other?
Well, we met a few years ago when I was recording the Vandenberg album in LA. That was 2020, right before the pandemic, and we got to meet each other, and we hanging around. And also because he has Latin roots, he has a kind of a Mexican. I think we connected really well. And he was all the time telling me, we need to do something together. We need to do at least a song together. We need to do something in Spanish together. And when I was writing the songs for the new album, I think it would be cool to have his input, because obviously he knows how to write songs better than me. Because it's something that I will never lie about. I don't think that I am the best songwriter ever, of course. And obviously I need some help sometimes. So yeah, I talked to him and I say, do you think that you can send me a couple of ideas that I can work on for my new album? And he immediately sent me a couple of things. And actually the song we picked up for the album, which was the second single, Eternally. It was when I heard that, I say, okay, this is gonna be cool. It's when the music makes a click to you, and you know that something's gonna work really well, and that's the same thing that happens with Russ Ballard, So yeah.
And Key Marcello as well, also involved, and you can really hear his signature sound but it fits perfectly. I mean, perhaps best known for the time in Europe, but he did a great solo album a couple of years ago called Out of This World, and he was on the same label as you. So is that how you got to know each other, or had you known each other for a while?
Well, we met actually in the UK. We met, I think it was in March. We were doing a festival together. We never met before. And then he came to me and he said, Ronnie, I love your voice. You're a great singer. And I say, obviously, I'm a big fan of you because, I grew up listening Europe. And I remember when I was 15 years old and I was doing Superstitious with my band, with my schoolmates, so that, it was a great honor. And then when this song came out with Ross Ballard and because I talked to Ross and I say, listen, it would be great if we do a song together, not only because you're a legendary songwriter, but also because I think the people that will like to hear this rainbow connection we have.
Yeah. And
I met Ross Ballard 2017, I think, when we did this show with Rainbow in Birmingham, and he was in London. He was invited to sing a couple of songs with us, and then. Ross, he sent me this song, which I told him I need a rock song, but also a song that can be played in the radio. And he came with this fantastic song, obviously. And
it is. It's an amazing song.
So when I think he has the song has this I Surrender kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not. Obviously, it's never going to be in the same level. It's just a Ronnie Romero song, but anyways, I think it's a great song. And when I was listening to the final mixing, I thought this solo at the end, it has a kind of a Euro vibe, and it must have a guitar player who can make something very melodic on this. So my bass player Andrea is an Italian guy. He plays with Key Marcello. So he tells me, I can give you his number and you can talk to him, and for sure he want to do something with you. So I just call him and he immediately say, okay, yeah, sure, no problem, I will do something. And then he came with this fantastic guitar solo at the end of the song, which I think it's a great way to close this. This.
He just has. He does have an incredible knack, doesn't he, Russ Ballard, of producing just great songs. And, when you hear it for the first time, you just think, well, I can almost imagine you sitting there thinking, did you actually think, shall I give Ritchie a ring?
It's just amazing. Obviously, some people, they have this talent, and some people we don't have it. And it's crazy because when I talk to him and I say, Ross, I would love to do something with you for my solo album, and he told me immediately, okay, what are you thinking about? And I say, I don't know. I just need a rock song, obviously, because the album is very hard rock and it's very heavy. But also, it must be a song that it can be played on the radio. And I think there is nobody else better to ask for something like that than Russ. And it was just a couple of days that he came back with this idea. And I remember when I listened to the demo for the first time, and I was with my wife, and I said, this is gonna be fantastic. So this is exactly what I was thinking about, and I don't know how it do this, but he knows exactly what it's supposed to be. So
people are going to come to listen to this maybe with preconceived ideas. They know what your influences are, they know where you've been, but this overall is very, very different. There is more of a signature sound this time. There's more of your sound. And the opening track is a great start. Backbone, the organ opener, and then you think, it's just going to fade out after 3 minutes, and then it reignites again and goes galloping off. And you know what? The funny thing is, people say, oh yeah, the influences, Rainbow Dio, all the stories about that. But what that reminded me of was Iron Maiden.
It could be, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
The thing is, I don't. Obviously, I'm not gonna hide my influences. My influence is gonna be there all the time. But what the people they need to understand that I'm not trying to copy anybody. I'm just trying to do my stuff. But also, the influence is gonna be there because I am just a 43 years old musician who grew up, and I remember since I was 5-7 years old, listening to all these great guys and great bands, and I grew up with that, So obviously the influence is going to be there. But when I write music, obviously I'm not thinking I'm going to do a song that it's going to be like a Dio song, or it's going to be like this, or it's going to be like that. I'm just writing music, and then suddenly you can hear my influences, and which I think is something
brings
natural.
It makes you smile. I have to say, you put it on and you turn the volume up. It's one of those where you put it on, start to listen, and then
very happy because the
immediately.
Most, for example, on YouTube, especially with the first song Backbone, there was a lot of people saying, hard rock and heavy rock music it came back.
Because there isn't much out there which is like this, and by the time you get to track 2. You're in this, hard rock groove and the vibe. And I like the message, bring the rock, come to rock again, feel alive again. Yeah. That's the message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think because I have this, I would say this old style point of view making music. I don't like, when I write music, I'm always thinking that I need to play this song live. When I go live, I don't use pyro. I don't use backing tracks. I don't use anything like that. I just want to be in a band that we are just 5 guys playing live on the stage. Everybody's playing his own instrument, and we all together we are a band.
But it isn't. I was going to say it isn't only about the screaming hard rock vocal, because when you get to Lost in Time, you've got this beautifully layered melodic feel which shows off the fact that you can deliver more than just this, traditional rock vocal. And you can imagine a lot of lighters being waved around here. It's a great song.
I know the people, they're going to relate my vocals and my music to Dio and Rainbow and all this stuff. But I grew up listening also Journey and Eagles and Foreigner and that kind of bands, So obviously, as I said before, my influence is going to be there. I love melodic music. So, at some point, obviously, the important thing for me when I write music and when I put it up in an album and songs out, it's the music must be organic and fresh. And the only way to do that is to put your influences on it. And I'm not thinking on the market. I'm thinking first of all of listening my music, and while I do that, I am happy, and then I can make some other people happy. Organic music for me, it's the most important thing. I don't cheat. I don't use multi tracks. It's just my vocal. Actually, it's funny because I said this before in some interviews. I don't even take the time to write lyrics like other musicians. They do, like they need a year, they need months of writing. If I need to go to the studio by noon, I just wake up 6 a.m. and I write the lyric that I need to have for going to the studio. I think that's make the music more organic in my point of view, and that's what I'm trying to bring back, because we are saturated with a music that it's not in the way it's supposed to be. It's not the music that I used to listen from the 70s and the 80s. So.
And there's sufficient difference as well between each of the tracks here to avoid that feeling that they almost blend into one. You know, there's breaks, there is the rock song, but there is the more melodic element to this album as well, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the most important thing for me was to put good songs. I'm not gonna say great songs, but at least good songs together. But when you listen to the album, it makes sense. This journey of 45, 50 minutes, which I think it is a step forward from compared with the previous album, because the first album, it was a little bit more eclectic in the way that there were some different kind of songs. But when you listen to Backbone, it makes more sense. And obviously, as I said before, I am a melodic guy. I love melodic music. One of my favorite bands is Journey, so it must be some melody around.
Well, Keep On Falling is followed by Eternally. And so this was the song written with Roy Z. And as we're in October, and you're obviously in Romania, we've got a story about the Count, and the loneliness and the desperation of his life. But this, along with Hideaway, when you get to live, or when the album's out and people are making up their minds which tracks they like the most, I think this and Hideaway are going to be the two big favorites.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's funny because sometimes the people that the songs that you don't have many hopes. I'm not saying that I'm doing like fillers, but you know, some songs are more important than others, and you take more care than others through the album. Backbone, it was a very important song when he wrote it, and I really want to have that kind of vibe, like a hard rock from the '80s, and that's why it became on the first single, because that's exactly the music that I love. But then the melodic part with Hideaway and Eternally, it came, especially Eternally, it came a little bit as a surprise for everybody, because I needed to go to the studio that morning, and then I didn't have any lyric for that song. It was the last day of vocal sessions.
Wow.
And that was the last song. I was struggling to have something. So I woke up 6 in the morning, and while I was thinking about what I can write about for this song, it's a very important song because it was written by Roy Z. So I think it's a great song, but I don't have any lyrics, I don't have any idea. And suddenly, you know, not only because I live in Romania, I remember I was in my room and I saw this copy of Bram Stoker's Dracula. That my wife gave me for my birthday. Is a copy that is written in Romanian language. So I thought, okay, you know, this is gonna be. I'm gonna write about Dracula, but I'm not gonna do the what the people they normally, you know, do about Dracula. I'm gonna talk about his point of view, and it makes sense for me, like being a musician, because it's the point of view of somebody who's making sacrifices to get something. You know, all his power and all his strength, it comes with sacrifice. And why and how he's suffering because he's Dracula. And that's the same thing that happened with musicians. You know, we sometimes the people, they see the bright part where you are successful and you're happy, but they don't see the sacrifices that you need to make to be a successful musician. So it makes it totally sense for me to write about it.
You mentioned a word there, filler. Now there's 10 tracks on here, but any thought about you throwing in filler should be disregarded, because Running Over and Black Dog, which round out the album with one of the best solos. But I mean, Black Dog is like at 100 miles an hour, full on heavy metal. I mean, it's like Judas Priest is heavy metal. You know, it's a very, very upbeat song to finish with.
Yeah. Actually, when I talked to Jose about to have kind of a more heavy song, because we had this Vengeance on the previous album that it
Yeah,
works
yeah.
really well on the live, on the shows. So I say we need to have something similar, and because I love Accept, and I say we need to have something like that, something like we can play the double bass drum and heavy riffs, and it's like a kind of an anthem. And then it was also funny because he came with this idea. The riff is fantastic, and the structure of the song is fantastic also. But I didn't have an idea about the lyrics. What can I could write about it? And because of we have three dogs in the house, and one of the dogs is a black German Shepherd. So while I was thinking about what to write about, and then I saw the dog playing on the garden, and I said, okay, this is gonna be Black Dog, So that I'm that kind of songwriter that I don't need much inspiration. I don't need to wait for the muses to come. It's just something. If something click on me, I think it's gonna work, and that's what it happened with this album.
So you finish the album then, right? You sit in the studio for the first time to listen to it playback, start to finish. What were your immediate thoughts when you
Well,
heard it? Did you think, wow, we've really nailed this here?
I exactly thought that not only because of the songwriting, and I thought obviously the songs were fantastic, especially Hideaway, Backbone, Eternally, all those special songs. I thought this is great. I mean, Lost in Time and Lost in Time. It was a great song when I heard the first mix. Because it comes with this acoustic intro, and then I go to this scream to the more heavy part, and I thought it was great. But also, I think it sounds. I mean, overall, the sound, the mixing, and the mastering, it sounds way better than the first one.
Oh, it's a completely different product.
Yeah.
I mean, but this is where the work starts now, isn't it? Because after this 13 years or so of recorded output, people will think that they know you, but they don't if they listen to this. I mean, this is now down to you to get this to the audience and say, hey, look, everything that went before, this is now the real me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the feeling. No, that's exactly the feeling because we worked really hard on the sound, or the overall sound, and also the drummer, or drummer Chris Allen. He did a great job. He has more like a Cozy Powell approach for the playing. So I
The
think it
hammer.
would be a really great add. Because that's the music that I do. It's
Yeah,
more
yeah.
close to the rainbow and the purple. And I thought, if we have this guy, and I told him, he got this, he recorded the songs even before the vocals were recorded. So when I send the tracks to him, and I say, okay, do your stuff. The more Cozy Powell, the better. So he understood completely what we needed, and when he delivered the tracks, even as I say, before the vocal sessions, even before the final guitars, only with the drums, Jose and I, we thought, okay, this is gonna be great, because it changed it completely. It's a game changer for us. And also, yeah, after we did all the mixing and all the mastering, listening to the couple of different mastering versions, I felt like, okay, this is finally, after 4 years doing my solo stuff, and after 3 years not working with other musicians like Michael Schenker or Ritchie Blackmore, finally, this is what I wanted to show to the people.
Absolutely. And so, in terms of live, then, what is being planned live for this? I mean, I know you're going out, but this is to do with just this album. When are you going to tour this?
Yeah, well, what we're gonna do, because now actually tomorrow we're starting a tour with Gus G, in Europe. So we're gonna wait a little bit because obviously we don't want to burn the market with the same name, touring the same venues.
Yeah, sure.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do summer festivals next summer. We're gonna do as much as possible on summer festivals, and then probably by the end of the year, November, around October, November, we're gonna plan to do a European tour presenting the new album.
Now, we can't forget, by the way, Elegant Weapons here. I mean, it's 2.5 years since you did the debut, which was, again, extremely well received. Ritchie, of course, is busy with Priest. But what is the situation? How much work did you actually do on the follow-up? And is that second album still being put together?
Oh yeah, actually the album is recorded already. It's finished.
Oh, it's done.
Yeah. It's totally done. I got a couple of weeks ago. I got some final mixes from Ritchie, just to check it out. So yeah, it is fantastic. I think it's gonna be fantastic. Also, I feel like it's a really step forward from the first one, because when I recorded the first album. The album actually was already recorded by another singer. So what I did, it was just going to the studio and trying to fit my vocals on what it was already done.
Yeah.
But this time, and it took me 2-3 days doing that recording. But this time, we took the time going to the studio, being all together with Richie Faulkner and Andy Snap, and just working on the songs. This kind of lyrics works, this doesn't work, we need to change the vocal line, we need to change the key, we need to change this, we need to add some backing vocals here, and we spend a lot of time together. So this is more Elegant Weapons than the first one.
So do you have a working title for it yet, or has that not been discussed or released?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say something. I think that also there was a cover art that Ritchie sent me to check it out also. So I would say it's pretty much done. It's pretty much ready.
Any idea of release time? So 2026, presumably.
That's the only thing that I know, because actually Ritchie is still talking to some record labels, because he's not sure to release the album with the same record label that we did the first one. So it's just thinking of some options, and it all depends on his duties with Judas Priest. Because now he's touring in the US, and I think they're starting to work in a new album. So,
be good if you got on the. Be good to get a support slot on the Priest tour, wouldn't it?
But that would be a little bit. I don't see Ritchie Faulkner doing 2 shows by night every night. It's not going to be good for his health, for sure. Probably his wife. She will not allow him to do that.
people do talk about the work rate, but when you actually look at your career, your work rate since 2012, Jose Rubio's Nova era, 27 albums you featured on vocally, and that is not including 10 guest appearances, including the ones with Michael Schenker, and then there was the EPs, and then there was the singles. So since 2012, there was only 1 year when you didn't put something out, or at least one album out, and that was in 2015 when the whole Rainbow thing got started. Do you never tire? Do you? No, never. No. You never feel burnout.
No, because this is what I love. It's like a soccer player that if he doesn't play and he's on the bench, obviously he's not happy. I love to sing, and I love to make music, and I love to work with great musicians, and all this time I had the chance to work with so many great musicians. It would be crazy for a Chilean guy who was just, playing music for fun, and then suddenly you are playing with Rainbow, and suddenly you're playing with Michael Schenker and Vandenberg and Richie Faulkner and all those great guys, to say no to any of them. It's like,
was that moment when you got a call from Rainbow, Ritchie, Carol, or Candice? Is that still the most surreal experience? Do you still smile when you think back to that day when you get an email and you think, is this a joke?
yeah. I'm still thinking about that. But the thing is, for me, I'm always say the same thing. Getting the call from Ritchie Blackmore and playing with him for 5 years on the stage, doing some Rainbow and Deep Purple songs, that's unbeatable. I will never do, and I will never do anything better than that. That's the peak of my career, and that's the best thing that I will never do.
You put up a clip on your social media, didn't you, yesterday?
So, yeah.
Was it you doing Mistreated? Was it about...
2 days ago, yeah. Yeah, it is crazy that people still love it, and I have a lot of material like that, like short clips and pictures and all that kind of stuff that I still sometimes I check, and because that was the best moment of my life. I don't think that anything else is gonna. I can't compare anything. Though playing with Michael Schenker and doing my own stuff, it's so satisfying, and it was so great to do with Michael, especially because I worked with him for 4 years, and it was fantastic. But it's just working with Ritchie Blackmore. It's unbeatable. It's anything.
Do you know it's nearly 10 years since that first live gig that you did in Germany at St. Kurshausen on the Eastern Rhine. And the first song that you did wasn't a Rainbow song, was it? On stage.
Highway Star.
Highway Star.
Which is fantastic, I still, because I still remember myself when I was probably 12 years old, coming back from school, locking in on my room in front of a mirror, putting the Made in Japan and pretending that I'm Ian Gillan, and then suddenly you remember yourself playing with Ritchie Blackmore in the Monsters of Rock Festival, Highway Star. So as I said before, it's just unbeatable. There's nothing's going to be better than that ever.
Did you have a particular song that you loved performing more than any other out of that catalogue? When you finish one gig and then you arrive at the next one, you just think, all right, I can't wait to get to that. This is what I really want to sing. What was it? What was the one?
There was a couple of songs. Mistreated was one of those songs because of the vibe that Ritchie was, I think it was his best performance on that song ever. He has such a great feeling playing those kind of slow solos building up something at the end of the song, and it's just unbeatable on that. And then also there was a song that I just love it to play every night because it was a little bit unexpected for the fans every night. It was 16th Century Greensleeves.
Right, yeah.
That was a fantastic song to play.
The one song that you would have removed out of there that you'd like not to play. I looked at it. You were being asked what people tend to forget. And I went to those shows. I remember queuing on the phone to try and get a ticket for the first time around. But you had to cover four different eras. So it's like you're an actor being asked to play 4 different parts. You're being asked to play. Obviously there's you, but there's Joe Lynn Turner, there is Graham Bonnet, and there is Ronnie James Dio. Yeah.
And some David Coverdale and some Glenn Hughes.
And Coverdale and Gillan.
And Gillan and I don't think, any song from Ritchie Blackmore, from Deep Purple and Rainbow, even the song we recorded as a cover from Blackmore's Night, The Storm.
It's a great song, by the way.
I just love to sing any Ritchie Blackmore song because it's probably my biggest and it's my biggest influence. I grew up listening to him. I still have memories of, especially with my father, rest in peace, because he showed me Deep Purple the first time, and I still have memories listening to the Made in Japan and Deep Purple in Rock and Machine Head when I was a teenager. So and I used to play those songs when I put my first band together when I was 15 years old with some schoolmates, and suddenly you see yourself playing with Ritchie Blackmore himself on stage. So there was anything that Ritchie will tell me to play, I will do it with a smile on my face because it's just it's the music. His music is the music that I love.
And lastly, then, what's next for you? You've done this album. This album's coming out. We've got Elegant Weapons. Are you putting the wheels in motion for the next recording session for the next album? Are you planning ahead to that? Will there be a third solo album?
Yeah, actually,
tomorrow. You're doing that tomorrow, are you?
A couple of days ago, I was thinking about to start to write more songs for the next album. But the thing is, I don't know how I'm gonna wait a little bit until to see how this album is gonna be received. I think it's gonna be great. But anyways, I think I'm gonna wait a little bit. I have already like 4 or 5 songs that I can use for. There is a couple of songs that we didn't add on this album that it could perfectly work for the next album. But we will see because it not depends only on what you want to do, but the music industry and the music business right now is not working the way that musicians will like. So you need to wait a little bit and see how it goes, develops, and we will see in the future.
And you're settled now in Romania, just outside of Bucharest. I mean, do you get a chance? I know you're a bit of a football fan. I mean, Have you been? Who's your team? Is it Steaua, Dynamo, Rapid, or are you still Liverpool?
Oh, in Romania is Steaua Bucharest, which is the Red Star Bucharest. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And you still watch it? Liverpool were your team, weren't they? Weren't you a bit of a fan of Liverpool?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm a Liverpool fan. In the UK, I'm a Juventus fan in Italy, but my main team is Real Madrid. So
it's Real Madrid, really. Yeah. And that was me thinking that it was Colo Colo.
No, that's totally that's I'm actually a fan of the other team, Chile. So.
Universidad Católica.
No, Universidad de Chile.
Well, that was Ronnie Romero. The album Backbone is out this week, and it is definitely worth your time. And that is it for this edition. Don't forget again, if you want to catch up with more exclusive video content, then head to the website. It's www.therockandbluesexperience.com, or you can find us on the YouTube channel or Facebook. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to your company on the next show. For the moment, though, from me, Tim Caple. Till next time, bye-bye for now.